Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I wrote an article, Muslims and Interest, about 12 years ago. And it is available in my blog, vmkhalilurrahman.blogspot.com. You can read it. At the same time, I want to read it out to you for your kind information and suggestions. It's an important article about riba, otherwise called interest. What should be our attitude in the present context is the big question. You'll remember that even Maulana Taqi Usmani Sahib came to Ambur and Chennai and delivered his lectures on interest-free banking system. Some of you might have heard it, but no permanent solution has been found in this regard by the Muslim community, particularly our respected ulama ikram. Now I read my article, Muslims and Interest. There is much talk about interest-free banking system nowadays. Maulana Taqi Usmani Sahib also addressed a meeting in Chennai on this subject. There cannot be two opinions about the fact that riba is prohibited in Islam and Muslims should refrain from doing things which come under this word riba. Riba means not only interest but all forms of exploitations. This is the reason why all the past great translators of the Holy Quran had given the right meaning for it as usury. The beauty of the Quran is that it prohibits any exploitation in business, not only interest. As far as the banking interest is concerned, one feels that an industry cannot be established and managed without involving interest. If a person establishes a factory, getting loan from a bank on interest and gives employment opportunity to some people, it is undoubtedly laudable. We must appreciate him. We have to move with the times to be responsible citizen of the present highly materialistic world where nobody seems to care for anybody. Giving sermons is different from practicing things. This apart, unless an interest-free banking system comes into existence, we cannot condemn the present system in the way we usually do. It is reported that the Saudi Arabia and other oil-rich countries have invested billions of dollars in the American and other banks and are not getting any interest, and the banks use the interest amounts for their own purposes. Right or wrong? How can this be right according to Islamic principles? I heard the speech of Maulana Taqi Usmani Sahib. It was thought-provoking. We have all respect for him and his thoughts based on the Holy Quran and the Hadith, even though many conferences of ulama on this subject had resolved to present the issue in a different way, considering the time we are living in and where an interest-free banking system is not available. The question asked by a legislator, if a Muslim student can avail loan given by banks for seeking education? There was no reply at all. All this shows that nobody thinks of the have-nots who have no other go except to avail bank loans. We should understand that even well-to-do non-Muslims avail bank loans for educational and other purposes for the obvious reasons. Where do we stand in this regard? We all know that the loans availed by farmers were pardoned several times in different states of the country by the state governments and even the union government last year or so. There were reports of Muslim farmers having suffered heavy losses due to their inability or aversion to get loans in states like UP, MP, Bihar, etc. There is necessity for the community to think about the loans given to industries, farmers, students, etc. until an interest-free banking system is established and available to all. Please listen to the Maulana by clicking Shaykhul Islam Dr. Tahirul Qadari and listen to his speech and express your views. I had written an article on interest-free banking some 30 years ago in the Financial Express, Chennai, dated 21st November 1981, which I reproduce below for your kind information. Please go through the same and comment. This issue must be discussed and analyzed properly for the benefit of the suffering people. Interest-free banking by V.M. Khalilur Rahman. Although Muslims throughout the world have been adopting the traditional system of interest-free loans in small measures, the interest-free banking introduced by President ZIAUL Huq in Pakistan last year as part of the process of Islamization of the economy is a new experiment. According to reports, an overwhelming majority of Pakistanis have welcomed the system, while Islamic fundamentalists support it because interest taking or giving is regarded as a sin in Islam. The mercantile community has commended it in the expectation of getting interest-free loans for the development of business and industry. The pro-Bhutto extremists, on the other hand, consider the present regime's policy of Islamization a ruse to hoodwink the people and divert attention from basic and hurting issues like electing a democratic government. Though none in any Islamic country can be at the helm of affairs without depending on religion, the Zia government's over-enthusiasm for overnight Islamic changes in Pakistan has created doubts as to whether it is all only to remain in power or divinely inspired. Some Islamists prefer Islamic rule there through a democratically elected government. Some others, particularly and leaders of the Jamaat-e-Islami, argue that when Pakistan was founded in the name of Islam, there should be only an Islamic government there. To them, it need not necessarily be a democratically elected government, but any government which follows Islamic codes and works for Hukumat Ilahi, Kingdom of God, should be accepted. It is a fact that despite the hanging of a popular leader like Mr. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto by President Zia, the latter is able to remain in power just because he utters the name of Islam and assures the people that he would try to bring back lost glories. He also introduced penal punishments like cutting off hand for theft and death for adultery. Some Orthodox ulama prefer the reformation of the society through tabligh, preaching, away from the cobweb of political activity. The late Maulana ZIAUL Huq'S, a well-known and reputed religious leader who was close to the Bhutto family, did not see eye to eye with General Zia. He and people of his ilk believe that people should first become pious and strong adherents of Islam before thinking of establishing an Islamic government. Thus, General Zia faces strong opposition from the people on various political and religious issues. Yet, interest-free banking is one of the reforms wholeheartedly welcomed by most of the people except those who have huge deposits in banks and no religious attachments. Some economists who have hitherto followed the British system of banking consider interest-free banking as impracticable in the long run. Some other experts with an Islamic bent of mind stress the necessity of this system in the present industrial world where high rates of interest are common. It is a fact that in almost every industrial unit, the bank is a major partner, entitled to an income, that is interest, of up to 18% or more, no matter whether the unit makes a profit or incurs a loss. Many industrial units have collapsed because of the burden of the prevailing interest system. At the same time, the tremendous industrial progress seen today is due to the finance provided by banks and other corporations like Sipcart in Tamil Nadu. The worst disadvantage to industries financed by banks is that business becomes compulsory for them even at unworkable levels of prices at both buying and selling points, as they require goods as well as forward contracts of sales for submission to their banks against different varieties of facilities secured by them. In spite of this, whether industrial development will be possible, particularly in the present world, without involving interest is a moot point. Pakistan claims that interest-free banking was successful last year in all the 5 nationalized banks where it was introduced. The annual reports of these banks have shown that the income of depositors in interest-free accounts has been 8.5 to 15%, whereas depositors for interest have gained only 7.5 to 12%. In Pakistan, the deposits in interest-free accounts are given to different industrial units and profit or loss is shared among the depositors according to their ratio of investment. According to reports, about rupees 300 crore were deposited in interest-free accounts there. However, it remains to be seen if the trend is here to stay. In India, though an interest-free system seems unthinkable, the best thing the government could do will be to provide facilities for secret deposit accounts without involving any interest in the same way as the banks in Switzerland have provided. This will help in acquiring black money from both home and abroad for various national projects. VM Khalilur Rahman in Financial Express of Chennai, dated November 21, 1981.